In today's video, we'll talk about how Mykonos has changed in 2023. Stay with me until the end of this video because if you want to go to Mykonos this year, you should watch this video. So I've been to Mykonos 12 times so far. This was my 12th time. I just got back from Mykonos and I'm gonna tell you everything that I saw and what has changed since the last time I went to Mykonos. So let's get into it. The number one is the taxes and the private transfers. Stay with me because this is a quite sensitive topic and I'm gonna tell you why. First of all, a few years ago, like until 5 years ago that I last went to Mykonos, the prices were normal. They were overpriced compared to other islands and other places in Greece. They were a bit overpriced, which is normal because it's Mykonos. Like rides could be like 10, 15 or 20 euros, which is normal, depending on the distance, of course. However, now this has changed and they have a minimum flat rate, which is 40 euros, no matter where you go, no matter how far your destination is. Even if you are taking a taxi for a 5-minute drive, you're gonna pay the minimum flat rate, which is 40 euros. And of course, they charge you more than that. That's the minimum rate you're gonna pay. If you wanna go somewhere a bit further, expect to pay 50 or even 60 or more euros per drive. That's about taxes, which again, I get it because there's the alternative. If you don't want to take the taxi, you can always take the bus because the buses are very convenient. I'm going to talk about that next in this video. But in my opinion, the scammiest thing is the private transfers. So these are some cars, they're not licensed, they're not taxis, they're just random guys from other parts of Greece that have taken their personal vehicle. They're not Ubers as well, nothing like that. They're totally illegal. And they take their car and they charge the same rate as the taxis. And they don't work individually. Because let me tell you real quick what happened. I was at Cavo Paradiso, that iconic nightclub in Mykonos, and there were no more night buses. I'm gonna talk about that in number 2, but this has to do with this one because it was 4 a.m. So we went out of the nightclub and we wanted to go back home, back to the hotel in Hora. And there was no other way other than take a taxi. But guess what? We couldn't find a taxi. So we asked somebody from the staff in the parking lot, are there any transfers or taxis that we can take to take us to Hora? And he replied, oh, you can ask this guy. And it was a random guy in his car. There was no taxi sign or it wasn't a professional vehicle or anything like that. It was just a guy sitting in his car. And that was kind of weird, but we needed to go back to Hora and there were no buses, no taxis. It was 4 a.m. and we were like, it was weird. Like, can we ask this guy? Just a guy in his car. It was kind of weird, but then we were like, okay, let's ask him. We have nothing to lose. So we were like, do you do transfers to Cora? And he was like, yeah, it's a minimum flat rate, 40 euros. We were a bit scared because, you know, it's not a taxi. Would you get into a car with a stranger just because he claims that he's a transfer or a driver? But we didn't have a choice. So we took that car. And as we were tired, we weren't much in the mood of talking, but he wanted to start small talk, like where are you from and stuff like that. So we found out that, because we asked, are you a taxi driver? Are you a professional driver? And he was like, I'm a transfer, period. I have no idea what that means. He said, I'm a transfer. I work for hotels and other places and I do this extra at night. So yeah, that was a bit sketchy, but we were like, okay. But the thing is that during the whole drive, what annoys me the most, I mean, I can get the scams, don't get me wrong. I'm that stupid that I can agree to get scammed if I want to reach my destination. Yeah, overcharge me. I'm in Mykonos, I want to pay more. I'm okay with that. But don't be disrespectful. Be respectful to the people that pay you, that you make a living off them. The whole time he was driving, he was bragging about how he scams tourists. and how stupid we are as tourists that we pay that amount of money and we come to Mykonos. But then he started complaining that the season is going to get smaller, and we noticed that, and everybody on the island is talking about that, how the seasons are getting shorter and tourists are going to come just for 1 month from now on. And he laughed when we said that the seasons are getting shorter. Like we mean that you won't have a job if you act like that and if you scam people like that. And he laughed so loudly and said, yeah, that's perfect. Hopefully the season gets shorter, because this means that I will get back home sooner. Because he said previously that he makes so much money during these 2 months that he's working on the island, and he doesn't have to work for a whole year. So he assumed that if the season gets shorter, he will make the same amount of money and go back home sooner. And then he continued being disrespectful, saying that I would never choose to go to Mykonos. It has nothing for me to offer. Like, we are stupid. Like, okay, he was so disrespectful. And then we asked to go to Fabrica. If you know, in Mykonos, it's the center of the city where the taxis and buses stop. And he didn't leave us there. He left us 100 meters away from Fabrica because he said, I'm not allowed to go in there. And we had to walk that distance, apparently because he was illegal. And he also said that he works commission-based and they all stay in an apartment. So I don't know, I guess taxi drivers know about that, everybody knows about that. So I have no idea who he works for, but that was kind of scammy. So be careful, always choose licensed taxis or buses. But let's go to number 2. The number 2 thing that has changed in Mykonos, there are no buses during the night. So if you want to go to Cavo Paradiso or another nightclub anywhere on the island, and it's after 1:30 a.m., there are no more buses. And that was not the case. That's why the title of this video is What Has Changed. Because a few years ago, there were night buses from and to Cavo Paradiso. Every 1 hour, yeah, they weren't very frequent, but you knew that the bus departs from Cavo Paradiso at 3:15 a.m., at 4:15 a.m. So you could schedule your time and be on time. There was an option, and the bus was just €2 or something. And now there's no alternative. So if you want to party, you have 2 options. Either you have to wait the whole night, stay there for the whole night until early in the morning, where I don't know when the first bus departs from Paradise, or you have to take a taxi or an illegal vehicle like that one and get probably scammed. So no more night buses. That's a problem. And that makes me wonder, why did they stop having these night buses? It wasn't always a thing. I remember always taking the bus after leaving Cavo Paradiso a few years ago. Does it have to do anything with the illegal transfers that we talked in number 1? I'm just letting you decide. I don't know. The number 3 that has changed is the hotel rates. Unfortunately, like almost everything, prices have skyrocketed. And I used to find cheap hotels in Mykonos. Like 10 years ago, I used to find rooms, like decent rooms, very good rooms, for €60 per night, which is very decent. And some of them even had sea view, like with €60 per night. But now the cheapest room that you can find is €160. And I'm not talking about a decent room, I'm talking about a shithole, a basement, tiny room. You can check out my vlog, I will link it down in the description of the video. I had booked a tiny basement room, but I got an upgrade and I got a very good studio. I will link them down in the description of the video. So yeah, expect to pay a lot if you want to stay in a hotel, even if it's not a decent one. Okay, the next thing that has changed, that's a good one, because so far we have talked about negative ones. This is a positive one, and this is the crowd, the people. It's become more diverse. You see people from all over the world, and there are more girls and more party people. Like, people are partying like crazy on the island. The crowd is more lively. I can't explain it. I like the people. I think it's a more quality crowd, and you feel you feel like a part of a big group. Like even if you're solo traveling, if you go on vacation on your own, if you go to Mykonos, you won't feel alone for a single minute. I can guarantee that. You can always join a group and you can party all together. That is what I like in Mykonos, because actually Mykonos was my first solo trip ever, and it was amazing. That's why I fell in love with that island, and I went there for 12 times over the last 10 years. And yeah, it's an amazing island, and I think the crowd is even better now. And now let's go to drinks and food prices. They have skyrocketed as well, but you can still find some good deals. Stay with me. The thing is that if you sit somewhere and you see water, even a glimpse of water, you're gonna pay an arm and a leg for your food or drink. But if you go in other places like family-owned businesses, like Hibiscus, for example, which is one of my favorite places, they have the same prices they had 10 years ago. Like, don't they know about inflation? But they still get a profit, they still make a profit, but it's a decent place with very good food, fresh juices, and very normal prices. So if you go to the port or a little Venice or the more tourist places, expect to pay an arm and a leg, even for a drink, even for a soft drink, even for an omelette. And when I say an arm and a leg, scrambled eggs cost 19 euros. A single omelette costs 19 euros, which is a lot for an omelette, for just scrambled eggs. But you can find an omelette with 5 euros in other places like Hibiscus. The next thing that has changed is the parties. The parties are wilder. Like, they were always wild in Mykonos, it's Mykonos, but I think they're wilder. Everybody's dancing now, even in the streets, everywhere. The parties are going wild every single night. No matter which day of the week you go out, it's going to be epic. There's always parties all over the island, so you're gonna have a good time every night. However, on the contrary, I was talking about night parties only. The day parties are dead. This is so oxymoron, because the night parties have gone wilder while the day parties are mostly dead. I went to all the places that used to have iconic parties like Super Paradise, Tropicana, Guapaloca, and Jacchio, which used to have a drag show, and there were no parties, like no parties at all. Even Jacchio had no drag show. Where is Priscilla? I missed her. Like, no parties, and I can't explain that. I mean, I saw some differences, like they try to promote a more Tulum-ish vibe. If you've ever been to Tulum, Mexico, you know what I'm talking about. But however, Mykonos is starting to be like Tulum in every aspect, and I'm going to talk about what I mean in a minute. So they're trying to promote that jungle-ish or chill and boho vibe, and they've changed the entrances of the most day clubs like Super Paradise. It has a completely different entrance now, in Tropicana and all these places, promoting that chill vibe and eco-friendly vibe, which is good, which is cool. However, they have changed the character of the island, the original Greek island character. Mykonos is a Greek island, it's not Mexico, there's no jungle there. So I don't get it, I don't quite get it. I know it's trending, it's a trend thing to have a decoration like that, but please don't change the character of the island, because this is what we love. We love a Greek island, and I see that getting away from that. So I guess that's why maybe the day parties are not there, because they try to promote that chill vibe. And there was a party in Super Paradise where I went. However, the music was like chill lounge music. It was so boring. People were not dancing. There wasn't the party vibe that it used to be. No more dancers as well, which I get it. I like that, because people used to go there just to see the dancers, and they could just get in for free, just to take some videos and photos, and that was it. So yeah, I'm glad that that doesn't happen anymore. However, there are no more day parties. And now let's go to restaurants. Restaurants are empty. Like empty, I'm not even kidding. Even on weekends, even on the busiest days. And when I used to go to Mykonos 10 years ago, I remember the first time, my solo trip that I went to Mykonos, I used to wait in queues forever, like the lines were super long to go into every restaurant, and you needed a reservation anywhere if you wanted to have a proper dinner or lunch. However, that's not the case. Almost every restaurant is empty, and business owners and managers are complaining that this is the worst season ever. Like, we don't make money, we don't have profit, people are not coming in. But you know what? I went to Mykonos a few days ago in 2023. I went at the end of June. And I always go for vacation in Mykonos in June because it's not that crowded. However, it's the first time that I saw Mykonos that crowded in June. It was mind-blowing. I couldn't even walk in the streets. There were too many people. So when I heard my friends, the managers and the business owner complaining that people are not coming to the restaurants, I was like, what are you talking about? The island is full of people, it's so packed. So that's why I said before that it's trying to go the Tulum-ish way. Because in Tulum, it used to be very crowded, and all these places like Taboo, Tantra, and all these day clubs, they used to be full of people spending a fortune for champagne and luxury lunches and dinners. However, if you go now to Tulum, because I went to Tulum a few months ago, all these places are empty. And when I say empty, I mean dead empty. There are people in Tulum, people are still going in Tulum, but they just go for the footage. They go for the photo, they go for the video, they take their towel, they put it on the sand, and they enjoy the sun and the beach. They don't spend a dime in these places. So I see something similar happening to Mykonos, and I hope that's not the case. But I see a lot of people, like a bunch of people. I haven't seen Mykonos that crowded before, like I did a few days ago, but the places are empty. So that's just for consideration. Another thing that has changed is there are no more champagne areas in day clubs. And I'm talking about mostly about Super Paradise, where it used to have these big couches, the VIP areas where people had a champagne because they used to pay for a champagne a few $1,000, but now they have these stands and small tables because I guess nobody buys champagne anymore. Nobody wants to spend a few €1,000 just for a bottle of champagne. So they've changed completely the area. So they have more small tables where you can get just a bottle of vodka or gin or whatever for €100, which is very normal. That's a very reasonable price. So I guess they saw that people aren't spending that much on champagne anymore. So they changed their space accordingly so they can fit more people buying cheaper drinks and get more profit, which makes sense. Another thing that you may notice is there are fewer celebrities. Have you ever heard of Lady Gaga and Kim Kardashian going to Mykonos and 100 of other celebrities? This island used to be a celebrity paradise, especially if you used to go in June like I did all these years. You would see a bunch of celebrities, but not anymore. You won't see any celebrities anymore. And that's why, because I think Mykonos have gained a lot of popularity. Like 10 years ago, you could see Mykonos was visited mostly by locals and also Europeans and British people and some people from Asia as well. But Americans and Canadians and Australians didn't know about Mykonos that much. But nowadays, everyone seems to know Mykonos. It's a top destination. And that's another thing that I saw a lot of Americans. You could see Americans everywhere on the island. So when a place gets that crowded, celebrities avoid going there. It makes sense because celebrities go to places that not too many people know about. So there's another Greek island for celebrities. If you want to see celebrities, you should pick Antiparos. I think that's the new spot for celebrities. But I don't think celebrities go to Mykonos anymore. Another thing that I noticed, that's a funny one, is that the outfits are more conservative. Maybe that's just me, but I think that the outfits are more conservative on the island. People are wearing more conservative outfits. I'm gonna tell you why I say that, because a few years ago, almost every girl was wearing a string bikini. And now I was the only one that I was wearing a string bikini, and I was like, people are not wearing that anymore. because I think that I was the only one. I felt like I was the only one dressed that way. So maybe that's just my opinion, but I got that vibe that people are more conservatively dressed, which is making us. It doesn't make sense. I don't know, maybe that's a stupid one. Let's go ahead. And finally, no more nudism on the beach. Like, if you ever been to Super Paradise Beach, there was a certain place where nudism was allowed. So you could see people, you know, swimming naked or sunbathing, but not anymore. It's not allowed anymore. So if you wanna swim naked or if you're into nudism, I don't know if there's another beach that allows that anymore, but no more nudism in Super Paradise. So these are the things that have changed in Mykonos. Check out my party vlog. I will link it down in the description of the video, and I will see you in the next video.